1, 2, 3, 4. Chop, chop, chop.
It's Cure of the What now?
Gather the ingredients.
Cure of the What now?
Not much time to prep before it's time to start the show.
Oh!
Guests are arriving.
Cure of the What now?
Everybody's smiling.
Cure of the What now?
A tasty party starting. Now it's time to go. Woo!
Ooh. Served hot and fresh.
Itadakimasu. Hello, fellow burdens to your family, and welcome to
Episode 40, Season 2 of Cure of the What Now? Yum!
the one show where we know if you're adopted, you definitely have no soul.
Aw, I'm your co-host, Joel. I know I'm skipping ahead, but I'm adopted, actually, so...
Well, but baby, it's okay. You didn't believe you had a soul anyway.
We have no scientific proof of this thing you call a soul. Can you weigh it?
I'm your host, Kat, and I am jumping in here before Joel gets going too much. Welcome to the episode, folks. Happy New Year. We are getting this episode recorded on New Year's Eve so that it is done, and we won't be late with next week's episode.
Absolutely. And remember, as always, it's good to have goals, but make sure that they're smart, and those all stand for something. I know the A is attainable, and I know T is like time, I think, but just make sure that, I'm going to become president of the United States. This next year isn't even an election year. What are you doing?
All right, listen, I'm a behaviorist, so I'm going to jump on my soapbox now. SMART stands for measurable, achievable, oh man, I can't remember the S or the R. The T is time, though. Basically, when you're coming up with specific is the S, obviously. But when you're coming up with a goal, it should be an actual goal. So as an example, a lot of people this time of year have weight loss as a goal. And I love you all, but weight loss is not a goal. Weight loss is the result of a series of behaviors. Your goal is to increase those behaviors. So a better weight loss goal might be, I am going to track my calories such that I am at a deficit of 500 calories a day. If that is something that you want to do, make it very specific, make it something that you can track so you can see yourself making progress, and you are more likely to be successful by the end of the year than if you just said, I want to lose weight. And then you get to January of next year and you're like, I didn't. Chocolate's really yummy, though. I don't know what to tell you.
Now, I would say that I think weight loss can be a goal if you can make it more specific, measurable, actionable, and whatever. Because I think you could say, I would like to lose 5-10 pounds by this date, by reducing my caloric intake, by exercising a little bit more often. Since we're on the subject, little known fact, so a lot of people are like, oh man, I'm going to do a bunch of exercise to lose weight. The best way to lose weight is usually fewer calories in. If you run 5 miles a day, that's good. You're burning, a certain number of calories, but you're going to lose weight faster by trying to eat less.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of advice on the internet. A lot of it is kind of bad. Joel and I are not dietitians. We're not experts, but I did lose 50 pounds and I have pretty much kept it off for almost 5 years now. So this is a side passion of mine, is the behavior of health and weight loss and maintaining yourself, basically. Because we know that what we eat fuels our brain, and if we are eating things that are not good for us, then our brains don't work as efficiently. Joel, do you have any news or announcements?
Yes, unfortunately, I am a bit of a fibber, so I believe last week, maybe the week before, I said that we were going to be on a Film Gold episode of Piecemeal, a One Piece podcast. Unfortunately, due to traveling and other sort of scheduling restraints, we won't be able to be on that episode.
Florida is a void in which no podcast sound can escape.
Interesting. And yet we know that both hosts of Paramecia Fancast actually at one point were in Florida, and I believe that half their team is still down there.
Listen, they were never both in Florida at the same time.
Okay, if you say so.
Every time John has to record, he gets in his vehicle of choice,
and he goes to Louisiana,
Georgia.
Yeah, the next town.
He crosses the Florida-Georgia line.
Okay, my point is, we are not going to be on an episode that I said that we are going to be on, but if you like One Piece, I would still highly recommend you check out Film Gold. It's the best movie in the series, and also you should check out Piecemeal. They're a great group of people, I think.
They're a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them like PreCure, so,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the other thing that I want to point out really quick is that we seem to have gotten official confirmation that there will be 45 episodes of Delicious Party. I have not been keeping track of the availability of Delicious Party movie subtitles. I'm hoping that we'll be able to cover it before the end of this season, but if not, maybe it'll just be like a bonus episode or a one-off or something like that. But that means that we're coming to the end of the season. We only have 4 more episodes of Delicious Party, and the way that we've split up Doki Doki, we only have 2 more episodes of the podcast to cover Doki Doki, and then things are wrapping up. So just keep that in mind. You have a couple more weeks to try to catch up if you want to do the finale, not with us necessarily, but if you wanted to have your thoughts submitted before we talk about it, that'd be awesome.
Absolutely.
Now, Catherine, with it being New Year's, do you want to do a discussion question about the freewheeling of kind of like our resolutions and such?
Yeah, I think that would be a lot of fun. I know you had a discussion question, but maybe we can save that for next week.
Maybe, or maybe it's thematically relevant and we could just do both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So what kind of resolutions are you looking at for?
Oh no, I had to have some prepared. No, I've really kind of let go of like drawing and writing and all the various creative things that I like to do over the past year. And so I'd like to do more of that. And of course I should come up with a specific, measurable, etc. goal if I actually want to get anywhere with that. But it would be nice to increase my creative output a little bit. I also have applied to a PhD program, and you can't really say...
Congrats, by the way.
You can't congratulate me yet. I haven't gotten in, but thank you. But you can't really say, in 2023, I will get into the PhD program, because there's a lot of factors that go into it. By the time you get to the interview stage, like, it's just kind of vibes. Like, do you vibe with your potential advisors or not? And if you don't, then somebody else is going to get in, even if you're equally qualified. But my goal is to pursue education and credentialing beyond where I am currently.
Yes, absolutely. You will do your best when it comes to the interview process. You will not show up drunk. You will not show up speaking tongues, that kind of a thing.
Oh, so. Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm a podcaster, so I'm very practiced at just like talking. So I'm hoping that my certain je ne sais quoi comes across in my conversations with these folks.
Unfortunately, you are not pursuing a PhD in PreCure media analysis. Otherwise, we could do like a mock interview right here. What qualifies you to speak about why Laura is actually the best PreCure?
Well, you see, sir, boom boom, I love pretty girls. What about you, man? What are your Wait, I have a guess. Dig a hole in Minecraft that takes up the entire world.
Oh man, no, that's impossible because the Minecraft world is infinite. So you can't dig a hole. That's big. Really? Minecraft update though, I did find some ocelots and I was able to breed them, and I was able to find some hoglins and I was able to breed them, and I almost died in Minecraft, not in real life. So I've gotten the breeding achievement, which is like the one that I always try to get every time I start a new Minecraft world.
Fantastic, man. I am proud of your breeder achievements. You wouldn't happen to be playing Minecraft right now, would you?
No, because you would hear the mouse clicking for sure if I was playing it. And there's no way to change the keybind so that I could use buttons in order to be placing some tiles right now. No, so goals for 2023. I don't know how well I'm going to be able to do this. I have tried the Nano Challenge before, the NaNoWriMo National Novel Writing Month
He
Challenge.
wrote 350,000 words. He's amazing.
Yes, if we want to do a podcast about my specific attempts to write, we could do so. But my point is that even though I have written books or stories before, and some of them even have a beginning, a middle, and an end, which is pretty crucial, I've never actually gotten to the revision part of my story, and I'm feeling kind of bad about those old stories that I used to write. So my goal to make it sustainable and readable and mergeable and attainable and trackable or whatever is that I want to try and write so many words a week, and I want to spend at least 3 days with like a half hour set aside for trying to write. So I'll probably come up with like an Excel spreadsheet. I'll probably keep track of how much I've written each day, and I'll try to stay consistent at least, but I don't want to burn myself out. That's another piece of advice I'd give to anyone thinking of doing New Year's resolutions. Don't try to be like, I will lose 100 pounds in 100 days. It might be possible, but the more reasonable your goal, I guess that's why the A in SMART is attainable.
Gosh, yeah, not to bring it back to like diet and weight loss, but when I started years ago, right, literally the only thing I did for the first week was write down how many bottles of Coke I had in a week. And then I was like, that is too many. I think it was like 2 a day. So I was like, we're going to go down to 1 a day. And then when I was at 1 a day for a couple of weeks, I was like, we're going to go down to 1 every other day. And I kept it very small because you contact victory more often that way.
Contact victory. Ring, ring. Hello, victory.
The more often you can come into contact with that victory feeling, the more likely you are to keep going. I thought of a SMART goal that I actually have, like an actual measurable goal while you were talking.
Okay.
By the end of this year, I want to be able to do 1 single pull-up.
Okay. I like that. I like that a lot.
I had been working on that this year, and I kind of got distracted because marathon training takes up a lot of time, and I decided I didn't want to lift weights anymore. But I went from 140 pounds on the assisted pull-up machine to 70 pounds on the assisted pull-up machine.
Okay.
So if I keep working it, I think by the end of the year, I should be able to do a full body weight pull-up with no assistance.
Okay, I approve of that. But yeah, so overall, my goals are to try to be more creative, and I need to come up with like a smart version of that resolution, but I want to try to set more time aside. And something else that I haven't really been doing is I don't really think about what I want to achieve. So for example, if in the month of January, I want to quote unquote read more, if I don't actually tell myself try to read a book a week or something like that, or try to read a chapter every night or something, I'll get to the last day of January, or the second to last day of January, and be like, oh yeah, I wanted to read more. Have I read any? No, because I haven't been consciously thinking about that. So my other goal is to keep in mind and try to keep track of like how often I am drawing or writing or reading, and then just like try to consciously make sure that I'm doing it a little bit more often in my free time instead of playing Minecraft all the time.
You know what might help you with the reading goal? And I'm sharing this because some of our listeners might have a similar goal. So Goodreads allows you to set specific, I want to read this many books goals. And you can link Goodreads to your Kindle account. And so every time you finish a book, it automatically checks off on your list. And then eventually, you know, let's say you set your goal to, I want to read 10 books. When you reach that goal, it'll be like, good job. Do you want to set another goal? I had a friend who a couple years ago, her goal was to read 100 books in a year. And so every couple of weeks, she would post her Goodreads update that showed how close she was.
That's pretty good. I don't know if I'm going to get that level of reading. I tend to mostly listen to audiobooks while in the car, and I don't drive that many places, but absolutely, that's an excellent, any kind of tool that can help you with your goals are good to keep in mind.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, simple for you, right? Starting small would be 1 a month, maybe.
Yeah.
So setting a goal of reading 12 in a year, and if it comes to February and you've already read 10, then maybe you bump it up to 15.
Okay. I like what you're laying down.
Absolutely.
Now, related to New Year's resolutions, we told a story at the very beginning when we started covering Delicious Party, when the season was new, that there was a mother whose child was a really picky eater. She watched Yui, who really enjoyed eating, and now the child is more willing to eat and willing to not express herself.
She's excited about food because it might make her strong.
Yeah, but like she's more adventurous. That's the word I'm looking for. You know, she might try foods that she hasn't had before and that kind of a thing. So related to New Year's resolutions and trying to like self-improve or whatever the case may be, can you think of anything else that a future PreCure season could try to tackle that might help young girls with problems that they face? And I'm being vague because I don't know much about problems that affect young girls other than the really obvious, like, body image is like the one that comes to mind.
I mean, the original season of PreCure, the main characters, Nagisa and Honoka, had non-stereotypically female interests because of that kind of idea. Like, it's okay for girls to be into science and math, or it's okay for girls to be sporty. And so maybe just a season focused on dreams again, where they have non-traditional dreams, like dreams that aren't at all related to being wives or mothers or pretty models or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. Again, the only one that I can really think of is like body image stuff, and I don't know how you could work that into a season of PreCure. Maybe if one of the characters was like a model, but maybe a self-conscious one who thinks that like there's something quote unquote wrong with her, and then maybe the season could help give her some like acceptance, or like, you know, there's all sorts of girls. There's tall girls and short girls and bigger girls and skinnier girls, and they're all beautiful in their own ways and that kind of a thing.
Do you want to know something interesting about that?
Okay.
A lot of the times girls don't even know they should be self-conscious about things until they hear a message like that.
Really?
So like, for example, I'm really active on a women's fitness subreddit, and someone posted like, reminder, if you have some body thing, I'm not going to name it because I don't want other people to Google it, but if you have this, it's completely normal and all bodies are good and beautiful. And I was like, I don't know what that is. Do I have that? And so I Googled it, and then I went and stood in the mirror for like 5 minutes, and I went, I do have that. I hate that. So you have to be very careful how you present those kinds of messages.
Absolutely. And we're just talking in theoreticals. It's not like we're going to go to Mr. Toei himself and be like, we have a new idea for a PreCure season. I like the idea of PreCure being a force for good that helps people think about things in a different way. Another thing related to kind of the New Year's resolution of like trying to read more is trying to read more genres that I don't normally read, because different perspectives help you have a greater breadth of thought. And so I think you could do the same thing with PreCure. If you had a lot of really interesting seasons, or seasons that tackle different issues, then the people watching it might have different ideas about society or their place in it or that kind of a thing.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, like, when we're talking about messages that young girls need to hear, I really just think, like, you know, you can do anything, you know?
Yeah.
You don't have to be stuck in this very rigid role, which is kind of societally what we're moving toward anyway, but... And again, I don't want to say like I'm some kind of cultural expert on Japan because I watch anime. That's absolutely not correct. But just the media that we do consume, I feel like female characters have become more of actual people. But for a long time, it was still pretty like, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Chi-Chi from Dragon Ball Z, Goku's wife, she started out as a fighter who almost beat him in martial arts. I don't think she beat him in the first match that they had, but eventually, by the time Dragon Ball Z comes around, she's just a kind of angry wife or whatever. And so, like, I agree that it's cool to have other shows, like My Hero seems to have a lot of female characters in Class 1A who are making their mark on society and contributing to the final arc and stuff, and I think that's really cool, you know?
Absolutely.
But other than that, I think that's about it for the discussion question.
Yeah, are you ready to Doki my Dokis?
Yes. That sounds suggestive and kind of odd, but yeah, I think let's move on to talking about Doki Doki.
It only sounds suggestive because you're a weirdo.
No, are you ready to blank my blank? You know, like, it could be any words. Are you ready to grease my frog?
That's weird, man.
Okay, so pick a different adjective. Are you willing to drive my plush? Like, any kind of, like, are you blanking my blank feels like it could be
Nothing is as weird as grease my frog, though. Give me the succinct summaries before I have to leave.
Absolutely. This week we watched Doki Doki episodes 43 and 44. See, last week I told you I wasn't sure if we were going to cover more than 2 episodes, and it turned out we didn't have time to watch more than these 2. In the first episode, it starts off with Aguri, Cure Ace defeating a disdain. She transforms back into Aguri, and who is there but her grandma? This is a really weird episode. Aguri basically decides that because her grandma, whose name is Mary, by the way, which is just delightful. You know, she has the same name as Mary Chan from Delicious Party. Once again, we've accidentally linked the 2 shows that we're covering at the same time. But Aguri starts acting like because she was seen transforming that she's a burden on her grandma, and she runs away from home, but then her grandma's like, hey, did you know that I love you? And Augurey's like, oh my god, my grandma who adopted me loves me? That's incredible. And then they grow closer together, and her power of love defeats Regina. Weird episode. We'll talk about it more in a second. Episode 44 is a Christmas episode, and wow, we covered it, just a week after Christmas. That's kind of good timing. Could be better, but, still. In this episode, it's really focused on Mana's relationship with Rikka and Mana's relationship with Regina. Mana is lured into a trap by Regina and the other girls. Regina's theory being the rest of the Doki Doki team can't operate without Mana, but it turns out that they can. And this is sort of Rikka's episode about learning about the power of love again with Regina, where she's like, hey, Regina, you like Mana, don't you? And Regina goes, I like Mana. And then she blushes, and then Mana shows up. She's been saved by Joe. They save the day, and Joe goes, hello, I have a cliffhanger for next episode. So I'm guessing that we're in the end game. I think that Joe's going to reveal that he has 7 of the 8 pieces of princess or something. And if they can get that 8th one, then they'll save the day. But if that 8th one falls in the hands of the bad guys, then King Selfish will come back. And so, next episode.
We hate that guy.
Yeah, we don't like him at all. And those have been your Succinct Summaries!
Nicely done, sir. Would you like to talk about Doki Doki or Doki Doki first?
I think Doki Doki, just to change our pattern a little bit.
Absolutely, absolutely. Did you like these episodes?
I liked the Christmas episode a lot, and I really did not like the Aguri episode.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like both episodes were just fine. I wasn't overly enthused about either, but the Aguri episode was especially weird to me. So can you kind of go into our problems with Augurey's last couple episodes?
Yeah, and I mean, we kind of alluded to this in the intro to this episode of the podcast, but it feels like we just have this Aguri is adopted, and that's kind of weird, and also she's a burden to her grandma because the grandma knows her secret. We just had an episode, 2 episodes ago, where they willingly told their secret to the rich girl in order to get her to fly them into space and save Alice. So, it doesn't feel like telling your secret is, this big thing that puts people in danger. Mary didn't say, I'm gonna throw myself in front of the disdain in order to get hurt. It's so weird of an episode, and I just didn't like it. And in the, Mari tries to, talk to Aguri. She's like, hey, are you feeling okay? Hey, I made you dinner. Hey, do you want to talk about it? And Aguri just runs away, and, I get that she's young, but, weird episode.
I guess if we're thinking about the emotions involved, Aguri found out that the moment this person she loves more than anything found her, she was attacked by a monster.
Sure.
And that was specifically because of Aguri. So maybe in her brain, if I go away, she won't have to risk that happening in the future. But you've had, 6 months, a year without her being attacked by a selfish?
Yeah. Also, conversely, yes, because there was a disdain trying to eat you or whatever, or kill you, Mary was briefly in danger, but also because of you, Mary was protected from the danger. So maybe there's a bit of a trade-off here, So Aguri just kind of acted out of character in order to drive the conflict, what you might call an idiot plot. That's a TV tropes term. I didn't just make it up. But it's just kind of like a plot where, if they had just talked to each other and hashed out their feelings, they would have come to a conclusion. And in the end, that's what they do to solve it. Do you have anything else really to say about this episode?
I'm still bored of Regina.
Yeah. Regina in the Aguri episode was I think what they're trying to do with Regina is they're trying to show a character who wants to be good, but has kind of been gaslit and or misled and or genuinely loves someone who's a terrible person. And so that selfishness kind of drags her back into the darkness. But she literally goes up to a mural of a bunch of children holding hands and being like, we love peace. And she's like, ugh, this makes me sick. No one actually, Genghis Khan did not say, ugh, peace, I hate it. No, he just was a dude who wanted to control things. He wasn't against the idea of peace. And so, like, Regina in this episode is just, like, acting even weirder than normal. Like, she's a bad episode.
She is acting exactly like some of the edgy people I knew in middle school. But, like, we're past that stage in our lives.
Yes, absolutely. And when you compare it to who she was earlier in the season or in other episodes, it feels like a departure of her character.
There were parts of the Christmas episode that were kind of cute, though. I really liked Rikka feeling like she couldn't win the frog out of the crane game, and then she heard Mana being like, you can do it, Rikka, don't give up, and she tried again and she got the frog, and she was like, I did it, Mana, and then she spun around and Mana wasn't there, and she was like, oh.
This episode is the most women-loving women episode I've ever seen of Doki Doki. So far. Maybe we'll have a future episode that's even more so, but like...
You've heard of, wow, that's so bright colors. Now get ready for, wow, that's so girlfriends.
Yeah, Ira and Marmo, I mean, I guess technically it's Regina's idea to do the plan, but they tell Mana that, hey, there's a competition to determine who's going to be king of the student council presidents. But then Mana's like, oh, this is at the same time that we have like a Christmas Eve parade that we want to go to, and oh, there's so much student council work. And Rick is like, I support you, babe. I love you. I know this is your dream, so please do this, and I will enable you to... I will pick up the slack while you're gone, essentially. And then Rikka is doing all this work, and she's like, man, I'm getting overwhelmed. How can I possibly get through all this work? And she finds, like, a little note from Mana that's like, I believe in you, babe. You're amazing. It's just like... They are the most married couple we've ever had in PreCure.
And Mana packed her a little lunch that was like her special rice balls.
Yes!
It was so sweet.
It was a good episode. The one thing that I will say that's kind of strange is like and again, we're watching subtitles from fan subs. That's the term that you use. But we're watching these fan subs, so maybe they decided to translate it one way versus how the actual Japanese is. But with Rikka and Mana, they explicitly point out, like, this is what you call love. Like, at one point, Raquel says, this is love. And wow, you really love Mana, don't you? But then at the end of the episode, they're like, hey, Regina, you like Mana, don't you? And I'm not saying that, I don't know. I don't need all of the girls to, like, hold hands and be in a polyamorous six-way relationship at the end of the series. But I do think that if you're going to use the word love to describe friendship between two girls of the same age, it can also extend to Regina. You know what I'm saying? But still, good episode. I love seeing Regina trying to play the tsundere, and she's blushing, and it's her embarrassment and her, like, frustration of liking Mana that causes the disdain to grow weaker. Also, a disdain that's an evil Christmas tree. That's pretty great. And he says that he's celebrating Hurtmas as he tries to, like, send out his evil ornaments.
I know that the rhyme wouldn't have happened in Japanese, but I'm bummed that the fan subs didn't go for Fistmas.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yep. Especially, they could have given the Christmas tree, like, boxing gloves or something like that. That would have been great.
Fist! Merry Fistmas! The Power Thirst YouTube video was one of the first things Joel and I watched together when we met in college.
Oh, man. Power Thirst.
Is it
Rocket Edition. But... You know what I didn't get? Okay, so they lure Mana to a empty building and they trap her in a cage. All right, it's a magical cage as well, so she can't just transform and kick her way out. She tries that, it doesn't work. What I don't understand is, A, the bars are wide enough that Shararu or Charles can just slide through and leave because she can fly. But also, even if there was, like, some kind of magical barrier, like if she tried to go between the bars, she'd get electrocuted, she can turn into a cell phone and call the other girls. We've had previous episodes where they specifically did that, so I don't understand. I wish that the trap had been a little bit more, like, you know, oh, it's a Faraday cage that blocks all communication to the outside world. And then the young girls watching it could be like, what's a Faraday cage? And they could learn about physics. That'd be great.
Nothing. What's a Faraday with you? No, that doesn't work here. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that Mana had to act kind of like a doofus for the episode to happen. But my ADHD is bad today, I guess. I keep getting distracted by our shelf of plushies and we've got our PreCure shelf on top, but then underneath there's a tiny corner that's like the Bowsette art shrine, and she's watching me. That's a magical girl.
Yeah.
Uses an item to transform.
Absolutely. Now, Joe shows up at the end of this episode. I guess this can kind of segue into talking about the future episodes.
We should talk about Joe. He looked good. He was wearing kind of a tuxedo mask fit.
Yeah. So I know that a certain group of people on the internet have kind of ruined fedoras, but I actually do kind of like the way that they look, especially on a lot of anime characters. I think that it's really good looking.
I was in high school, you were in college, but when the fedora thing first became like associated with that group, I wonder if it's been long enough that it's not a thing anymore.
The internet kind of preserves memories. I think that there are probably still quite a few people who remember those days and have PTSD of it and that sort of thing. But yeah, Joe shows back up. He's looking good. But, we haven't seen him in forever. The last time we saw him, he was dropping off the princess in a secure lockbox so that no one could get to her. So, either something must be up with the princess, like she started to wake up, or she started to get worse, like she has princess cancer or something. Or he's he checked out a book at the library, and the library is like, did you know that the Selfish King can be defeated by feeding him a cherry pie? So now, next episode, they'll be looking for the legendary cherry filling to make the ultimate King Selfish destroying cherry pie.
I love that.
That's the real way that they defeat King Selfish, is they share something with him. They show him selfless love, and he's like, oh my gosh, I've been evil all this time, but I could have just asked for things?
God, they all just circle around him and give him a hug. That's the problem with being 30 and watching children's media, is you get to be so cynical at our age that it's like, you can't just hug the evil out of people, kids.
Well, it depends, right? It depends on, but no, absolutely, that's not usual. The conflict in Ukraine, or the Civil War or World War II, those weren't going to be solved by one person delivering a hug to another person. But because this is not only because this is a children's show, but because it's written to be a children's show, I think that in the end, they'll just give him a pie, and he'll be like, this is the most delicious pie. And they're like, we can give you more pie if you choose not to be an evil bastard. And you'll be like, well, okay.
Absolutely. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on about this episode?
I really can't think of anything else. Oh, Mana wanted to be Santa when she was a little girl, and that is the most Mana thing ever. Not every PreCure, I couldn't see Cure Blossom saying that she wanted to grow up and be Santa. I don't think it would fit her character very well, but it very much so fits Mana's character, and I think it also fits Manatsu as well from Tropical Rouge. I think that she could be an excellent I wanted to be Santa when I was younger type character. And then Laura could be like, why would you want to be Santa? Why wouldn't you want to be Frosty the Snowman or something? But in the end, she would dress up as Santa because it's what her girlfriend Manatsu would want.
Absolutely, yes. I was just glancing through our watch together because we did stream these episodes with that one welder guy, James, to see if we had any love letters.
Yeah.
And James did point out, oh man, Joel, you were right. The girls' vibes.
The women loving women, I don't know, man. They don't usually use the word love to describe the friendship between Rikka and Mana. And again, this is the most Rikka and Mana are married and they are supportive wives of each other episode that we've had. So yeah, James also thought that Aguri was kind of going through mental gymnastics. It's almost like she wanted to run away from home and she was looking for an excuse. I know there's only 5 more episodes in the season, so if I'm gonna have a runaway episode, I better do it now.
Better
have a freak out for no reason.
I don't think there wasn't one in Sweet. There wasn't a runaway episode.
I don't think so.
Man, Sweet was good.
Maybe Sweet might have had, I think it had an episode maybe where, Akko was feeling embarrassed about Grandpa or something, but, it wasn't a runaway episode. It was just kind of they briefly have to remember how much they love each other type of thing.
I'll probably make this a votable option in our PreCure awards or our Cure of the What Now awards, but because we watch Sweet and Doki Doki, we can discuss Best Unsupervised Child with dad problems, Akko, or...
Oh my gosh, or we could do Best Grandpa You'd Like to Smooch between Otakiji-san and Belle.
Gils, Grandpa I'd Like to Smooch. I was just thinking of other words the F could stand for in the original GILF. Grandpa, I'd like to frog. Grandpa, I'd like to fondle? No, that's too close to the original
Grandpa, whose
meaning.
frog I'd like to grease up. And
That's been your doot-doot-doot-doot
final thought. Outro goes here.
Thanks for listening, everyone. And remember, only grease their frogs with consent.
We are going to go now because I believe that Catherine needs to take a long shower to get the feel of this episode off of her.
Bye. Thank you all for joining us for another delicious plateful of
Cure of the What Now.
Please take a moment to rate and review wherever you get your podcasts from.
Or if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to leave a comment, a like, or lick that subscribe bell so you know when the new episodes are going up.
Did you just say lick it?
Well, yeah, we're baking delicious foods. It's a delicious party.
Anyway, you can find me on Twitter at PirateGhostHost. Please don't lick me.
Can you even lick a ghost? I'm on Twitter at Kotwin_pod.
KOTWN_pod.
Absolutely. And as always, the Discord link is in the Twitter bio and also in the YouTube description.
Come join us for weekly discussions, streams, and all of the PreCure your heart can handle. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yum. Or no, I'm full.